Hi, my name is Marge Matchie. I'm standing here at Parliament Hill for the second time in less than a month to tell the world about mefloquine. My husband, Master Corporal Clayton Matchie, is the most disgraced soldier from the Somali affair in 1992. He was charged with the murder and torture of a Somali prisoner and found hanging in his cell. The death threats for me started just after that, and I knew then that you do not threaten someone's life unless you have something to hide. I wouldn't stay quiet, and I'll never stay quiet, because our vets are dying at a rapid rate. We have the Desmond family here. They lost their brother, their mother, their sister-in-law, and their 10-year-old niece. But their brother was an amazing man. He wasn't a man that you see on the news. He loved dearly everything. But this drug has the potential to drive you to madness. I challenge anyone to pick up a box that's called Lariam now, which is mefloquine. And as of 3 years ago, we forced the FDA to change the monogram label. It now says it has the ability, this medication, to cause permanent brain damage. I'd like to introduce you to Kelly McLeod. He's a vet who's been on mefloquine for some years, and he'll share his story with you.
I served in Somalia and Rwanda, and I took mefloquine for just over a year. And we do this, we get no response from the government at all. If the government would like us to, we'll go away and never say another word again if they would happily just take mefloquine. All members of Parliament take mefloquine for 8 months, but they can't claim any compensation for anything that comes from that. There's also a bigger issue here. That drug was given to us as a supposed drug study that was never done. That drug went on the general population given out to all Canadians. If it can happen with that drug that is that dangerous, how many other drugs have gone out to the general population in this country that have never been studied or tested? How many other drugs are we getting that we don't know are safe because they're not doing the proper protocols to put these drugs in the market? They destroyed our lives. All of us. And they take no accountability for that whatsoever. They stopped the Somali inquiry a week before the mefloquine issue was to come out.
Yes.
And I believe Prime Minister Chrétien at the time said there was nothing more could be learned. Well, I would hazard to guess that there's much more to be learned. They just chose not to learn because it would look bad for them. Well, how about making us look human again? How about giving us back our dignity? We did a great job in Somalia. People will never know that. The schools, the hospitals we rebuilt, the bridges we rebuilt, the peace we brought to a country that never knew any. How about giving us that back? How about making this right? Thank you.
Okay, in 1992, mefloquine was an unlicensed drug, and it was originally designed by the U.S. When they just joined the U.S. Peacekeeping Commissions, or anyways, the deployment to Somalia, excuse me, they wanted to use mefloquine because they said this chloroquine was not enough to, this was a malaria that was chloroquine resistant and it wouldn't be enough to take care of them. This drug is cheap. Lariam, or mefloquine as we know it, is 30 cents a pill that gets taken once a week. Health Canada said, fine, the only way that you can use this unlicensed drug is to be under a strict drug trial. That strict drug trial had guidelines that DND had no plan on ever complying with. My husband, along with those 1,000 other soldiers, never seen a consent form. They never got instruction as to what this drug could do to them. They never got the opportunity to take it off the list of things they could take. They were ordered to take this drug. If they asked about it or said it was suffering them, it was drink more water, get more sleep, but you take that drug. And if you were under suspicion of not taking that drug, your blood would be drawn, and many were court-martialed because they chose to take their chances with malaria rather than the madness they were being driven into. Yes, and I tried. Retired MP John Cummins came to my rescue sometime back in about 2000. He then was able to procure the documentation and show me to my face, stamped, DND, and 1,000 units. Imagine how many soldiers got that. That was going straight to Somalia. They tried to deny me in the beginning that they even used it, but I proved that. So it's just a cheap way. These guys are not lab rats. They're not guinea pigs. They're the vets who go out and fight for us and hope to God that their leadership has their back.
And what was the effects of this drug?
It has the potential to cause full-blown madness. It causes temporal lobe seizures. It causes nightmares, blackouts, rages, suicide. Sorry? Lesions on the brain. These are all proven. We can show this now in there's scientific and medical documentation. There's literature written on this. Dr. Remington Nevin, and he's just been instrumental in getting this into the medical journals. If that's the main message I need to get out today to anyone who may have taken mefloquine/Lariam. If you are being told that you suffer PTSD, please find out if you are suffering from mefloquine toxicity first, because this is why we have a suicide epidemic amongst our veterans. It's easy to hide military mental health under PTSD, but the treatment's so vastly different, and the pharmaceuticals that they cannot have that are given for PTSD just escalate the suicide. Yes, this drug was given to troops who went to Afghanistan and many other places where chloroquine or where malaria is, and it was right up until this year that they said they'd make it a drug of last choice.
So the Canadian military have stopped giving this drug?
They haven't stopped. They said they're making it a drug of last choice, but for myself and for most veteran families, we know that what you say here and what happens in the field are two different things.
My name's David Bona. I was formerly a member of 1 RCR, 3 Commando Canadian Airborne Regiment, and 3 RCR. I was deployed to Cyprus, Saudi Arabia for the First Gulf War, Somalia, and Rwanda. I was issued the drug mefloquine for my first deployment to Somalia. And the first day I took the drug, I was started having side effects, and the side effects got worse as the longer I was on the drug. Culminating finally in 1994, the last day I took the drug, with me almost shooting my section commander while we were deployed in Rwanda. I just got so crazy angry. I had my rifle in my hands. I stepped into him and was clicking the safety off, and I was going to double tap him through the center of visible mass. And it was the urge to shoot him was completely overpowering. It took me about a minute to get the rifle down and step away. But yeah, but I battled this from '92 right up until 3 years ago. And I lived with severe depression, suicidal thoughts daily, severe anger management issues that has ended relationships, ended jobs, ended careers. I've had negative interactions with public. Yeah. I was court-martialed and kicked out of the Army after 14 years. Went into the Army of Private, left the Army of Private.
Why were you court-martialed, sir?
Because part of the, what I realize now was to manage the symptoms of PTSD, I started drinking heavily. And as a result of that, I had several negative interactions with senior non-commissioned officers and officers off base after work at the bar. The thing is, PTSD with military members and mefloquine poisoning, they go hand in hand, because what we're finding now is PTSD symptoms mimic mefloquine poisoning, and it has the mefloquine poisoning has the same symptoms as PTSD. The only difference being is the mefloquine, what it does is it damages your brainstem. So what you'll have is individuals with damaged balance system, like their vestibular system's damaged. They'll also, usually what happens when their vestibular system's damaged is their gut control, the control center that controls the secretions within their guts is also damaged. So what you'll have is guys with really bad acid reflux or loose stool, or a combination of both. Well, number one, you do not give anyone with mefloquine poison pharmaceuticals. Because of the damage from the drug, you're going to, number one, cause further damage. Your they're not going to respond to that treatment, and actually it's going to, what we've found is veterans with methylquin poisoning that have been misdiagnosed with PTSD, what's happening is usually they're getting maxed out on all the medications they put them on because they're not working the way they're supposed to. It's not calming their anger down. It's not getting them sleeping. You know, it's not dropping their anxiety and all that, because literally it's physical damage from the methylquin that's causing these symptoms. So what they're actually doing is they're worsening the suicide epidemic with all these heavy-duty pharmaceuticals.
I said it, I agree with Dave. I mean, we know now it is escalating the rate of suicide amongst our veterans. We have a suicide epidemic.
Nope. The message I'd like to get is simple. It's don't lose hope.
Yeah.
This can be managed. It's permanent. The damage from this is permanent, but it can be managed simply without having to go on pharmaceuticals. You know, diet, exercise. You don't have to do psychotherapy or anything, but you look at alternative therapies like Loretta neurofeedback. It's actually changed my life. 3 months of Loretta neurofeedback actually hammered the severe depression I lived with for 25 years. In 3 months, it put that severe depression to rest. I don't feel suicidal anymore.
Sir, thank you very, very much for your time on this, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.